But interestingly enough, we're not allowed to telework here. We have to show up. There is no remote voting anymore. But even though we show up, are you aware of the fact that this has been the most unproductive Congress in the history of the Congress?
I have to dramatically disagree with my colleague, Ms. Crockett, who used data and statistics and facts to claim that this is the least productive Congress. I think Ms. Crockett was pointing out that this is least productive. These seem to be accomplishments on behalf of the American people that are clearly historic and may never be repeated in another Congress.
Democratic Representative Jared Moskowitz tag-teamed Republicans today, along with his rising superstar colleague Jasmine Crockett, for yet another hilarious and humiliating mockery of MAGA House Republicans that I cannot wait to show you here. And while it may have seemed there like Moskowitz was giving credit to the Republicans, I can assure you that he was actually just taking on his new role as chairman of the Light Sarcasm Committee. Before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video, please drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification. It really helps the channel a lot, and we greatly appreciate it. All right, folks, so the House continued in another tumultuous week of its committee on the weaponization of the federal government. A committee headed by Republicans that seem intent on doing nothing other than complaining about Trump's legal woes that obviously he brought on himself. And I call it tumultuous because, as a quick refresher, this was the bout that happened last week.
I just want to hear Joe Biden. Why can't the American people hear him?
Order, Mr. Chairman.
I'd like to know if any of the Democrats on this committee are employing Judge Merchan's daughter.
Please tell me what that has to do with Merrick Garland.
Is she a porn star?
Oh, Goldman. That's right.
He's advising who? What? Do you know what we're here for? You know we're here about AG.
I don't think you know what you're here for.
Well, you the one talking about.
I think your fake eyelashes are messing up.
No, ain't nothing.
Hold on.
I'm just curious, just to better understand your ruling. If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
A what now?
So clearly it is getting heated. Republicans are mad because they can't accept reality and have sticks up their rear ends, and Democrats are mad because Republicans can't accept reality and have sticks up their rear ends. And the only thing that the American people get out of it are instances like this next one, where Democratic members of the committee continue to throw shade at and make absolute mockeries of their do-nothing Republican counterparts.
But interestingly enough, we're not allowed to telework here. We have to show up. There is no remote voting anymore. But even though we show up, are you aware of the fact that this has been the most unproductive Congress in the history of the Congress?
Congressman, I'll leave that judgment to
Okay,
members
well,
of
I'll
Congress
tell
and the
you it
media.
is, and I've got some numbers for you. So to me, you can show up and still not do a daggone thing. And so it's rich that we have so many opinions to give you and to tell you how to do your job, but seemingly we're not doing ours. Thus far, only 1% of legislation that has been introduced has been passed in this Congress versus the last Congress, where it was 6 points higher, and the Congress before that 6 points higher, and the Congress before that 7 points higher. There is no other Congress that has been least productive. And guess what? The last Congress, they could vote remotely, and somehow they figured out how to get it done. So I would just say that we need to be very mindful of when we decide to throw stones, because we may reside in a glass house. Thank you so much for your work.
Damn, y'all, Jasmine Crockett brought the receipts. Now, I've been calling out this Congress for being a do-nothing Congress for ages, along with members of said Congress itself.
Republican voters across the country are sick and tired of Republicans.
One thing. I want my Republican colleagues to give me one thing, one, that I can go campaign on and say we did.
Those facts and statistics that Jasmine brought are just appalling. Like, if any of these people were in the private sector, they would be fired immediately. And you know, Donald Trump would love to be the one doing that.
You're fired.
But the Republican-led Congress, their agenda, and even this committee are an absolute farce. Weaponization of the federal government? Are you kidding me? The only person trying to weaponize it is the guy Republicans skipped town to go defend while he's sitting in court for subverting democracy. Even Fox recognizes how much of a sham this committee was set up to be.
Why aren't you being louder about this? Why aren't I hearing anything from this committee? I had to just ask you about it. Where is this committee of weaponization, and what are you doing about it?
When Fox is telling your politicians what they should be doing, you know you're absolutely fudged. The whole thing is just an excuse to do nothing but put on a political show for their constituents to see and just get rage baited into believing that anything is actually getting done. Although to his credit, Jared Moskowitz begs to differ.
You know, this is going to be, it's a little awkward when you want to disagree with someone on your side of the aisle, but I have to dramatically disagree with my colleague, Ms. Crockett, who used data and statistics and facts to claim that this is the least productive Congress in modern history. First of all, this Congress removed the Speaker, okay, which has never happened in the history of the Republic. That's clearly that's a big accomplishment.
Let this man cook.
In the 118th. This Congress took 15 rounds to even elect that Speaker that they then removed, right, which was historic in its own right. And then they removed a member of their own party. That hadn't happened in 20 years, so kudos to them. They've had a failed impeachment of a president. I don't think we've seen that happen in a really long time. This Congress did impeach a cabinet secretary, though, without meeting any constitutional threshold. We haven't seen that happen in 150 years. This Congress wants to hold Merrick Garland in contempt and then possibly arrest him. I don't think we've ever seen that in the history of the Republic. We've seen a failed motion to vacate to remove a second speaker. Again, history in the 118th. And who could forget that this Congress, on behalf of the American people, saved gas stoves and ovens and toasters and blenders and dishwashers from the communist grip of energy standards. So
Republicans roasting on an open fire. Which honestly makes me think we should have like a fake award show for Congress. Kind of like how the Razzies is the satirical version of the Oscars for all the movies and shows that just suck. We just do that for Congress. I'm kind of serious, like we might have just came up with Really American Media's next hit series. Let me know in the comments what we could name it and some award categories. I am now fully dedicated to making this happen at the end of the year. Okay, sorry, I digress. Jared Moskowitz roasted Republicans harder than Tom Brady here, calling out the Kevin McCarthy debacle, the failed Biden impeachment, all of their worst hits to show how utterly and humiliatingly historic this Congress truly is. And as much as it totally sucks to have Congress be a total lame duck, there may be some slight comfort in the fact that it's all mainly due to Republicans being asleep at the wheel. Because if in the worst case scenario, Donald Trump does get power in November, their inadequacy could be one of the only roadblocks stopping him from fully implementing his insane and sinister agenda.
We already know that he said he wants to be a dictator on day one. We know he wants to wipe out civil servants' legal protections. He talks about draining the swamp, yet he is the swamp. He wants to create this entirely different version of the federal workforce, which we strongly oppose. And this is the same person who we all know has stolen, in our opinion, millions of dollars from foreign governments, is trading favors to big oil for what he's going to do when he's back in the White House. So he has no interest in the law, in the Constitution, and importantly, in protecting the civil servants that make our government work every single day.
Well, what do you know? Doesn't that sound eerily similar to, I don't know, the weaponization of the federal government? First, Donald Trump will dismantle it. Then, he will fill it with loyalists and lame ducks that will do nothing to stop him. And then, he will weaponize his new system to hurt his opponents and the American people. And that is something you can count on, which is why we need him and his MAGA cronies out of office and away from power, so we can at least attempt to right the ship of government so that it once again works by and for the people. Thanks for watching, folks. You know what to do. Make sure you vote blue for Really American. I'm Kenny Hesse, and I'll see you all in the next one.